America has always been the land of contradictions, from our earliest days to the present. National documents, songs, pledges, and icons say one thing, while the reality of life in the US says something else. The example of this gap is the taking a knee movement, starting by African American National Football League players. Taking a knee movement that continues the problems of racism and police violence in a country that promises liberty and justice for all. Protest is a non-violent way of saying we are not there yet, and we need to do something about it. Yet, percentage of half of white Americans are angry about the protest, consider them unpatriotic and disrespectful. Some ask why are they bringing politics into football. But of course, playing the national anthem at games, a very old tradition, is a political act itself. I can't help but wonder why do we have to enforce patriotism in a free country? American school children run the custom of standing with hand over heart for the anthem and the pledge of allegiance to the flag even before they can read. They are running unquestioned loyalty to the country without even realizing it. It comes from the awareness of the gap between the American promise and the reality. It also comes from a strong conviction that unquestioned loyalty is dangerous and shouldn't be enforced. I very admire the bravery of the Take a Knee protesters and believe it makes America better. How do you get innovation to happen? Everyone has idea all the times, but to actually go from an idea to an actual development, that's much more difficult. And not only that, there are very different ways and there are very different approaches on how to get those things done. I think that's the biggest point. It's that you have to the focus we have here is just or different ways that you can turn the idea into reality and then achieve the innovation. There is no virtue in ignorance. And I think that one big aspect of ignorance is that when you think it's good enough, because it never is. You can always get better and better and better. And we being propelling our own evolutions as a society by creating different things and by creating new developments or even the purposes. Taking a technology that was initially you set for certain goals and then the purpose is it after something else like printers. We use the printer for paper. Now we use a printer for plastics. We use a printers for houses and so on. I would say motivation seems like very key, and then which might not have mentioned that before, but I think they kind of summarizing this whole idea. Creativity and imagination, because imagination is what actually allows you to come up with idea in the first place. Creativity as about the path is how do you actually go from having that idea to that development. You're always gonna stumble, you're always gonna find problems and issues, and it's all about creative solutions in order to get those on the final stage. I can probably summarize as motivation in order to actually get your idea off the ground and get to the proper development. You need motivation that doesn't come up out of nowhere. It's something that is difficult to cultivate it and even difficult to maintain. But hopefully, by checking the we have here by seeing how many different people found their way and very different ways, you can maybe boost that motivation a little bit more to get things done, essentially. Survivable tambourines, as the name is kind of like hints. Soon enough, we are going to have tambourines people living on this planet Earth. In order for us to actually get there in a way that everyone can live, fortunate lives. One of the main aspects which is a really explored idea, we have hazard. We have a lot of different hazards that they come from the natural disasters, or they come from the man-made disasters, but there is so much out there that can potentially harm us. It doesn't mean that they will harm us, but there is potentially to us. It's up to us to be really aware of what those hazards are, what the potential risk is, so that we can navigate it through that world worst, keeping us intact. It's really about making people aware, prepare, and resilient to whatever you can have out there that might be able to harm us. There are, certain aspects that should be taken into account too. For example, technological developments that we've had so far. If you take Japan as an example, earthquakes, the technology to prevent it or to protect it us from this potential damage that have evolved tremendously to the point where pretty much every day is you always have some earthquakes somewhere, and it's all good, except for a very very big earthquake is life goes on. Thanks to a lot of those technological development, we are protected ourselves from that. First and foremost, in the idea of being aware, just because it's very easy, especially when you live in a society complex, and it's easy for you to alienate yourselves and not be aware of danger that are around you. You just assume that everything is okay and everything will be okay. That's pretty much it. Or even worse, you can even get to the point where you are gonna actually start acting as you are gonna start behaving against that currently in a way actually harmful, because whatever is happening around you, well established, there will be very little impact. The biggest example that I can give the anti-vaccinations. You have a lot of very misguided and very poorly educated people out there who think that the vaccination is not a necessity. And whenever they do that, they keep doing that because everyone else is vaccinated. So the chance of them, actually not getting damaged is very tiny. So they keeping things that they're right. It's like I didn't vaccinated my children and everything is fine. Yeah, that's because everyone else around you has been doing that.